Greetings, everyone. I'm Mar. Once again, this is my opinion. Now we come to an episode that when I first saw it in syndication, I did not know it was part of Season 3. I figured that it's probably Season 4, maybe very beginning of Season 5, but nope. It's Season 3, and with how much I enjoyed this episode, it just goes to show Season 3, best overall season of the show. And that, of course, is Episode 23, Be Nice. And it's another Lou Schneider written episode. Has a couple guest stars at it, but I'll mention them later. Unlike the previous episode, Peter Boyle is actually back on set in this one, so it just makes me wonder if they did do a conscious decision because of his heart attack to do episode without him, episode with him, episode without him, episode with him. So it wouldn't seem too weird, even though by the time these episodes were airing, I'm sure most of the people that were watching at least had a passing knowledge of like, oh, Peter Boyle, he had a heart attack on set. It's not distracting by doing that, because if you were to just do like a few episodes with him and then the rest of the season not have him, people watching be like scratching their head and going, where's Frank? But in that way, it's like, yeah, you notice it, but it's not like, eh. Of course, me being the nerd and fan of the show I am, I wonder what order the episodes were filmed in. Well, I did manage to find out through some research what the first episode that they filmed after the heart attack was, and that, of course, is going to be the season finale, How They Met, which, of course, shows, okay, they did that one and then some of the other ones. But they managed to do this one and have it in the can, so we have that. Now, as the title implies, it is another Ray and Debra centered episode, and it is centered around them not being the nicest to each other, but as we find out more, it's not only that, but they are nicer to strangers than they are to each other. The premise is set up by Debra asking Ray to take the kids to the park, and at first he's like, what? And she's like, you said you would. He's like, alright, I'll do it. In his own Ray way, he was like, oh right, but the travel time is going to be included in this whole 90 minutes. Well, once he gets the kids to the park, he gets into it. He's talking with the other moms. He offers to watch one of their sons while she goes and gets ice cream. He's, showing up in front of the parents and being the super dad that he thinks he is, but you watch the show, you're like, Ray, you're not super dad. I mean, you're a better dad than your parents, but you're not super dad. Debra shows up because he forgot the kids' jackets. Exhibit A for why Ray is not the super dad. And the other mothers are like, hey, you got to keep a good grasp on him, Debra. You don't want Ray to get away. And she's like, eh. And they don't have the discussion in the park, but once they get home and it's bedtime, they have the discussion, and the two come to the consensus that they're going to try to be better to each other. Which, of course, good in theory, okay in practice, but everything changes when the rest of the Barones attack. Frank, Marie, and Robert, they ruin it. Because they notice it right away. Them calling each other sweetie, them being lovey-dovey with each other more than usual. It's one of those things that they're like, what's going on? And they explain it. And Frank is the big one who's like, I don't care for it. Marie's like, oh, I understand it. I try to do that. And tries to act like she doesn't do some of the stuff she does, like overly criticize Debra. Which the moment she says that, you as the audience are like, oh, Marie. And of course the look on Patricia Heaton's face in character when she's listening to Marie say that tells you all you need to know what she's thinking. Frank, his whole argument is that you gotta let some steam off on each other. As he puts it, the spouse is the perfect escape valve. Because if you let it off on a stranger, it's going to lead to fights, which lead to bigger fights, which eventually lead to war. Now, the line I just quoted from him, apparently he read at the wedding, but I think that's probably conjecture. Now, Robert is also on their side, not to that same extreme, but he does point out there is such a thing as too nice. Because if you're too nice, you could be a doormat. And he points out that he was nice to his ex-wife Joanne every day of their marriage, and she still walked out on him. He was nice until the day she walked out on him. Which the scenario he presents, him carrying her bags out to the car, nice. But it kind of conflicts with what we're shown at the end of the next season, where we see the night that they actually split. However, that could be her officially asking in the situation he's talking about here could be when she came, collected her stuff, and he helped take the stuff to the car, being the nice police officer that he is. But he apparently also still sends her a birthday card, which is like, really? She left you for a guy you arrested and you still send her a birthday card? And you're depressed on the day she left? The day your divorce was finalized? But it's just how he is, and he even mentions he's still nice. And I understand why Robert is telling him this, because he doesn't want them to make the same mistakes he did, end up divorced. And he wants them to see, you got to find the right balance. I mean, you can't keep going on how you were, which of course, being this is a sitcom, and you got to go back to the status quo for the most part by the end of the episode. That's going to happen. But you can't be uber nice to where, as Debra puts it, it becomes fake nice, like Marie's comment earlier. And the two do get into another little hissy fit, and by the end of the episode, they agree that, yeah, we gotta not be fake nice, we gotta be real nice. Can't be the same way we were before, but we gotta be better with each other, or at least try to be better with each other. And if there's any message in this episode, it's that you gotta find the balance in a relationship. Like I've mentioned in a couple other episode reviews, it's all about compromise. When it comes to this, you gotta be nice to where you showing your affection, but you gotta not be overboard. It's gotta be perfectly balanced, as all things should be. As I watched the episode on Peacock, when the credits started, I'm like, wait a minute. Shouldn't there be another episode after this? Are they showing the syndicated episodes for certain episodes or in general? I mean, the last few episodes I've watched on here didn't seem like it. But nope, I checked the deleted scenes real quick, and the scene that I was thinking of is a deleted scene. It's a follow-up to the Ray at the park scene where the wives are all looking at him, praising him up. And they had a talk with their husbands, and they sent their dads to the park. And the other dads are mad. It's like, we're at the park with the kids. Which the fact that they want to take it out on Ray by throwing his ice cream on him, if I remember right. Or, no, it's spilling his juice on him. And then be like, don't talk with our wives again. It just shows something about them. It's like, really? You guys don't want to spend time with your kids? You'll want to make them, but you want to just go and sit them all with your wife? It's one of those things that if I was in Ray's shoes, I probably would have been like, do that again, see what happens. Or I probably wouldn't have even let him get close to doing the juice thing. Would have been like, no, you're not. Or I probably would have also told them off in Ray's shoes, like, so you guys want to make the kids, but you don't want to spend time with them? It shows what type of parents you are. Now, this is a scene that you probably could write nowadays, but it definitely strikes me as a scene from a early 2000s and backwards comedy. And it works for the most part, but it just shows you that they don't really write dads that well, other than if it's like the main character dad. But I think here it's intentional to show that there are worse dads than Ray. I mean, I've criticized him. Like in this review, I criticized him. But there are worse dads out there than Ray. Like, he would prefer to be at home, watching the game, doing his job, relaxing. But he will go and hang out with the kids when he has to, or when he wants to. But these dads that go in, for all intents and purposes, they do assault him. It's with juice, but technically it would be assault. At least in California, I'd have to look up how the definition of assault is in New York, but I don't imagine it being that different. Just because the wives decided to nag them and say, you're going to the park this time, just shows something about them. On the whole, this is another fun episode. It explores the relationship dynamics between Ray and Debra in a way we haven't seen yet, talking about the concept of being nice. The closest so far we've had before this was saying I love you, which some might say is a little derivative of that, but that's the difference. That's them expressing their love verbally, whereas this is them being nice. You don't really have to say I love you in order to be nice. And of course the Barones get in there, and the writing spot on, the comedy, the little argument that erupts at the end that they come to a consensus on, even though it's kind of unsaid. It all leads to a nice little conclusion. And like I said at the top of this episode, another example of why Season 3 is my favorite overall season. And that trend is actually going to continue on to the season's end, because the next 3 episodes are ones I would never skip. If there's a close one, it would probably be the next one, but that's only if I'm not in the mood for swing music. Because it's sing, 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 just go on, sing. I don't remember all the lyrics off the top of my head, so sue me.